Welcome to Rambam in Depth. Today we'll be discussing the Rambam Hilchos Temurah, Perek Aleph, Halacha Tes. The law of Temurah is a person who says that the holiness of this animal that was designated as a sacrifice should be transferred to another animal. Number one, that is a violation that incurs the penalty of lashes. And number two, the transfer doesn't take effect. In other words, both animals remain holy. The transfer does take effect in terms of making the second animal holy, but doesn't take away from the holiness of the original animal.
Yeah.
So the Rambam says as follows, Perek Aleph, Halacha Tes, Eina Kohanim mamirin b'Chatas of Asham, that Kohanim could not do Temurah with regard to a sin offering and a guilt offering. Why would you think they could? Sha'af al pi shehem shalahem, even though it belongs to them. Once the animal is processed, the blood is sprinkled, and the avodah, the service of the Korban is complete, the Kohanim are entitled to eat the meat of these sacrifices. So they have ownership. Nevertheless, they don't have the power to make Temurah. Why? Because as the animal is still alive, they don't have any interest. They have no financial interest in this animal. So how could you make Temurah if it's not yours? And we're talking about when the animal is still alive. So the Sfas Emes asks a strong question. He says the Korban doesn't belong to one Kohen. It belongs to the entire shift of Kohanim. Therefore, they're all partners in the Chatas and Asham. So even if they would have a financial interest when the animal is alive, they couldn't do Temurah anyhow because partners cannot make Temurah. So why does the Rambam have to give the reason? Because they don't have any interest in it when it's still alive. Even if they had interest, they couldn't do Temurah. So the Sfas Emes himself gives an answer, a simple answer. He says Temurah, even if partners make Temurah, it doesn't take effect. Nevertheless, the fact itself that they made Temurah is a crime, and they would incur the penalty of lashes. So that's the difference. If they had rights, financial rights in the animal when it's still alive, though their Temurah wouldn't take effect, but they would still incur lashes. But now that the Rambam says that the reason is because they don't have any interest when the animal's alive, then there won't be any lashes because it's not Temurah, it's zero. The notes on the Sfas Emes from the son-in-law of the Sfas Emes, he gives another explanation. He says, we're talking about a Kohen who himself had to designate an animal for his own sin offering and his own guilt offering, but he didn't do the offering himself. He gave it to another Kohen. So who's going to eat this Korban Chatas? Not the entire shift. They're not entitled to it. When a Kohen brings his own Chatas, he's entitled to the entire thing. So there's no partnership over there. The Devar of Avraham gives a distinction between different kinds of partnership. When you're dealing with Temurah, what does it mean that partners can't make Temurah? If you are a partner, that the animal's sacrifice is on your behalf, not a financial ownership, but ownership because you have the kapara, you have the atonement. So the sacrificial component of the animal is owned by more than one person. You have partnership. You can't make Temurah. Temurah can only be made when there's only one owner. But the fact that the Kohen has financial interest, he's entitled to eat the meat, that has nothing to do with the status of it as a Korban. And that kind of partnership is not exempted from the laws of Temurah.